Hello there. Welcome to Retro Rewind. I'm Scotty. You're not. I should have mentioned in the last one. I wanted to do a weird intro for that because it's the start of me doing Halloween episodes. But here we are, continuing my string of Halloween episodes. We had Home Improvement. Now we're looking at a show that was originally on NBC, canceled, put on the WB, canceled, and then aired reruns on Disney Channel, which is where I found it. And that is Brotherly Love, which is a show I briefly mentioned, or will mention, because it's not up on the channel yet. I'm just releasing these whenever I'm done. Because these are not scheduled anymore, I'm just going to release them whenever. I mentioned it in my Tower of Terror because Michael McShane, who's also on this show, is in that movie. So, yeah. A brief plot crunch of the series is the series revolves around three brothers. Okay. Joe, Matt, and Andy Lawrence played Joe, Matt, and Andy Roman. Three brothers, three half-brothers, basically. Joe is the oldest. His dad divorced his mom and married Claire, and they had two boys. So there's that. No estrogen in this family except for Claire. And then the dad died. And so Joe comes back to get his inheritance, and but it's all in the garage and there's none to get. So he decides to help out his family, his brothers, his stepmom, basically, and also work at the garage. And that's the premise. There are two other characters to talk about. There is Lou, the female mechanic, played by Liz Vassy, who is also sort of a love interest for Joe. And there's Lloyd, the male mechanic, played by Michael McShane, who was in Tower of Terror. But yeah, so this is the Halloween episode entitled WitchCraft. Yes, as you can tell by the thing. I'm gonna, I usually just put the episode name, but I will, in parentheses, as you might see, I'll put Brotherly Love, because sometimes you might not know the episode is. Like, the ones I did for the Hughleys and I'm With Her is before I did Retro Rewind, but also I thought about redoing them in Retro Rewind, but I'd still have to put the TV show name. Whereas, normally I wouldn't, because maybe this and those ones aren't as popular. I don't think anyone has watched my Hughleys review. So, go watch that video I did on the Hughleys episode, the Coyote Man. It's a good episode. There's another one, but not a Halloween episode, but so yes, this episode starts with the Crypt Keeper. And if you're wondering, if you're watching this on Disney Channel, you didn't know the history, and you're wondering, why is the Crypt Keeper in a Disney show? Well, you see, the Crypt Keeper is, I'd say owned by Universal, but that's the movies, right? So I don't know. Maybe at the time, I don't know. But this was originally on NBC, so NBC would have more pull, I guess, to get that character. I guess. And eventually, Universal Warner Brothers would have some kind of working relationship too, I think. But yeah, and this is a breaking the fourth wall type thing, because they have Andy watching TV, the Crypt Keeper's on there. Why a kid of his age would be watching the Crypt Keeper, Tales from the Crypt, is beyond me. But he's watching this, and hello, Andy. The story takes place in the city of Philadelphia. Brotherly Love, it's in Philadelphia, Then we get banging theme song, which I didn't realize until I was older that it was Joey Lawrence singing the song. In fact, they just did recently all sang it together for the Brotherly Love podcast. I saw that on a little, a short. I didn't realize that was him. I knew he sang. I forgot that he sang, because he had that music video for Never Gonna Break Mine. Never gonna change my mind. Never gonna change my mind. That one. and I forgot about it, but there's also an extended version of that video that's introduced by the Brotherly Love cast, and it's so funny because it was after the show was over, right? I swear. And they introduced it with that. I don't know. Anyway, so it's Halloween, right? And they're gonna go trick-or-treating. Claire, that's the stepmom, is invited to a Halloween party, but she doesn't like going to things since her husband died. You know, it's one of those things. If there's anything in this episode that's underdeveloped, it's kind of that. They don't take a lot of time for it. They go back and forth between three different, later 4 different things that are happening. But specifically, Joe and Andy going trick-or-treating, Matt handing out candy, and then that party with Claire. And then once things get changed, then Lloyd comes into the situation, and the candy thing goes away. So it's 4 in total, but they intersect, you know. So this begins, basically, she doesn't want to go to this party, but Joe talks her into it. There's also a conversation that Joe and Lou have. This is something that, if it aired today, some people would roll their eyes to, because I feel like this is something Disney would do today. Lou is talking about how Halloween is secretly about women empowerment. Yeah, you see why people would be up in arms today about that. Back then, the 90s was the start of this female empowerment push, and I think it got out of hand by the time we got to now. You know, you have stronger female characters. I look at the GoldenEye, right? The money penny thing, and then you had a female M who thinks that Bond is a misogynist. So, you know, kind of, you know, have more female empowerment going, but now it's gone overboard. But people would watch this now and be like, oh my God, really? Even back then. But it's fine. Making noise out there. It's fine. It's fine. You know. It leads into something later. Right. But apparently, Joe doesn't believe in the mysticism of Halloween. Which, you know, we have a skeptic in our midst, I believe. So, Claire does, you know, is trying to get out of going to this party. Joe's like, hey, you know what? I'll take Andy. He's like, oh, I don't know. It's a tradition. And as soon as he's like, hey, you want to go trick-or-treating with me? He's like, hey, great. You know, so that's what. By the way, Lloyd is going to celebrate Halloween by watching the scariest movie ever made, The Sound of Music. And I love the line where Joe's like, you think The Sound of Music is the scariest movie ever made? And he replies with, the hills are alive? You know. But Claire's problem is, well, I don't even want to hand out candy then. Well, if you were going trick-or-treating, you won't be able to hand out candy anyway. And so you have Matt, who wasn't invited to a party. Or he was invited to he wasn't invited to a party, then he agreed to hand out candy, and then he was invited. Okay, so the plots go like this. I'll go by each one separately. We'll go with the one that's least important, and we'll go with the party, Claire at the party. She goes as Gum under the chair. And her thing is that she's getting out there talking to people. She meets a guy who's dressed as the missing sock. And they hit it off. But by the way, I don't think we ever see this guy again, but I think it's more important that she got out there and is doing things. She's starting to move on. That was her point. It cuts back and forth to this party, and at one point I'm just like, okay, the editing is really sporadic. They're just trying to get all 3 and later 4 of these plot lines in there. Matt is handing out candy, but he's very... If you know about the characterization of Matt, he is neurotic. Always worrying about things. And so he's here and he's seeing these costumes and he's rating them on how much. There's a Tin Man. He goes, when I was a Tin Woodsman, I had spray painted my whole body. Was sick for 2 weeks or something like that. 1 piece of candy. But he only gives it to the Tin Woodsman. The other two do not get any candy. She just gives it to the kid and runs off, and then he gets sprayed with water. And then these Trenton Tech students come up, expecting candy. And rightfully so, Matt says, nah, you're too old. Right? You know, Trenton Tech students, you should have got like a little brother or something to bring with. And then when he gets candy, like, hey man, what about us? You know? Although Matt probably wouldn't have given it anyway, but they hang him up on the door, and then he gets like spray painted with confetti stuff or whatever later. And that ends with him end up going to the party with them later because Lloyd does something, but we'll get it. And then, I don't know. Lloyd, at this point, is downstairs. He comes upstairs to get candy, and he sees Matt hanging on the thing, and hanging on the door, excuse me. And that's what the candy is. He says they took all the candy, and so now he puts on his welder mask and goes after them. And there's this great thing where, well, to explain this scene, I gotta go back to the Joe parts. So Joe's taking Andy out trick-or-treating, and they go to the mall. And there, Joe meets a fortune teller, who is obviously Lou. I mean, I didn't realize it the first time I watched it, but the more and more I watch this episode, it's obviously Lou, especially when he says, I lost my little brother. And she goes, Andy? Well, you really do know well. But he breaks down, she breaks down Joe. He tells a story about a bunny that he found, where they lost or something. I do like when she's like, put the silver in my hand, and he puts like a nickel or something. He's like, silver is just a choice of what, $10, cash or credit. I like that. But after this, he's done, and he grabs the nearest ghost. So Andy's costume is Spider-Man disguised as Casper, basically. He's Spider-Man underneath with a ghost sheet over him. And so he sees the nearest ghost and grabs him. And then he gets back home and he realizes it's not Andy, it's this little African-American girl. And he's like, why did you say anything? She goes, my daddy told me not to talk to strangers, but now I know where you live. And I'm like, shit. So he pays her off with money. I don't know if he can get away with that nowadays. And then he takes her back. And, okay, so this is where it happens. So as he's taking not Andy back to the house, he runs across Lloyd, who he doesn't recognize, and they cross each other. He's like, freak. And he's, I'm on a mission. And then he goes and he gets them. They're at the food court in the mall, which watching these old shows and seeing malls is just... Nowadays, malls are a lost thing. They're still out there, but they're not... Back in the 90s, there was nothing more prevalent than going to the mall. I used to have a mall. It's right next door here. I didn't live here back then, but there was a mall here. And gradually, that just went away. Now there's nothing. It's nothing. Well, it's Hy-Vee now, but it's a grocery store. But, you know, it was a mall, you know, connected to Shopko. There. You go see movies. You go to food court. Oh, we went to the food court. Yes, sir. Diamond Days, man. Diamond Days with the fantastic chips. Yeah. I'm old, and I don't like it. See the gray in my beard here. But anyway, I think about that every time I see a mall in an old TV show like this. Because back in the day, man. Anyway, so Lloyd grabs them, basically. And then as Joe is going back, they're crossed again. And, by the way, two people show up and see that Matt is hanging from the door and do nothing. Just saying. It's first it's Lloyd and then it's Joe. And Joe just takes not Andy away. Then he gets there and he finds that, you know, the other child also switched, you know, the other father. And it's Rondell Sheridan with hair. Yeah, I know. He was the dad on Cousin Skeeter and That's So Raven, and he had no hair in either of those. But he has hair here, somewhat. This has to be before Cousin Skeeter. I think Cousin Skeeter was 98, and this was 97, so, yeah. 95? I'm not sure. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, they check the kids, and they go home. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry I left you." And he's like, "It's okay. I was with Lou." And which is a joke. He's, "Oh, Lou was there? I didn't know she was there." Yeah, because I picked her costume. And that's supposed to be the joke, you know, because it was Lou was there the whole time. But if he was with Lou, then how did he end up back with the other dad? Did they have, okay, he's coming to switch. Or maybe he went to Lou, and then the dad showed up, and then they realized they had the wrong kids. If that's the case, then why didn't Lou go to the nearest payphone? Call the Roman house. Because then I think he would have figured out it was Lou. But, you know. But yeah, everything converges at the end with everyone there. The college kids invite Matt to go to the party, even though it doesn't go anywhere. Really. Claire's happy she did what she had to do, you know. And Andy, fine, he's back. Yeah. I really like they're all sitting on the couch, and it says, "Coming up next, The Sound of Music." And Lloyd's like, "I gotta go." Even though he said he was gonna watch it. I'm assuming he already watched it. I don't know. But why would they be playing The Sound of Music on Halloween? It's just for the gag. I don't think it ever actually played on Halloween. But anyway. So yeah. And then we get one final gag where doorbell goes off. They open it up and Matt is hanging there. So apparently whatever Lloyd did not work anyway. So I don't know. But this is a fun episode to go back and watch. I liked it. It's fun to go back and watch this. I forgot about this. I was looking at Halloween episodes and oh yeah, this one. I have to talk about this one. This is one I should have talked about before. But yeah. So we have this episode of the Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty. I'll see you in the next one.